Hey guys, welcome back. Honestly, I'm glad you're here. It's been kind of a long week, hasn't it? So, do me a favor. Just pause this for a second if you need to. Go grab a drink, tea, water, whatever. Maybe grab a blanket or some snacks. Just get comfy. If you're listening to this while you're winding down for the night, or maybe you're trying to fall asleep, this story is perfect for that. It's a long one today. It's quiet, it's a little heavy, but it's really, really engaging. I stumbled across this story a few days ago, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. It's one of those confessions that feels, I don't know, almost too real. Like, you can feel the weight of it on your chest just reading it. So, if you're settled in, let's just get into it. Just relax, close your eyes if you want, and let me tell you something wild. Okay, here we go. The guy who wrote this, let's just call him Alex. He starts off by saying, I never thought I'd be the type of person to have a secret like this. You know, you watch movies, you read books, and you think big dramatic family secrets are things that happen to other people. People with exciting lives, not me. I'm an accountant, I drive a Honda, I have a golden retriever named Buster. My life is boring by design, or at least I thought it was. It's been 6 months since my dad passed away. A heart attack. Quick, painless, or so the doctors told us. My mom, she's a wreck. They were married for 42 years. They were that couple, you know? The ones who still held hands in the grocery store, the ones who had their own little language. I moved back home temporarily to help her sort through the house. And that's where this nightmare starts. See, my dad was a collector. That's the polite word for it. He wasn't a full-blown hoarder like you see on TV where there are dead cats under piles of trash, but he kept things. Everything. Every newspaper from a significant date, every receipt, boxes of old electronics he swore he'd fix. The garage was his domain. The bunker, we used to joke. Mom never went in there. She hated the dust. So, 2 weeks after the funeral, I'm standing in the garage. It's freezing. It's mid-November, and the insulation in there is practically non-existent. I'm staring at a wall of cardboard boxes stacked floor to ceiling, labeled with years, 1994, 1998, 2005. I just felt exhausted. You know that bone-deep tiredness where even lifting your arms feels like a workout? That was me. I just wanted to toss it all in a dumpster and be done with it. But Mom, she was adamant. Check everything, Alex. There might be photos. There might be keepsakes. So I started digging. The first few days were exactly what you'd expect. Old tax returns, broken tools, manuals for VCRs we threw out in the 90s. But then, about 4 days in, I found the safe. It wasn't a big safe. Just a small, fireproof box tucked behind a stack of National Geographic magazines from the 80s. I knew we had a safe in the house, in the master bedroom closet, where Mom kept her jewelry and their birth certificates. But I didn't know about this one. I shook it. It was heavy. Something metal clunked inside. I remember sitting there on the cold concrete floor, just staring at it. I should have just asked Mom for the combination, right? But something stopped me. A weird gut feeling. Like when you're driving and you suddenly feel like you need to change lanes, and you don't know why. I tried the usual numbers, my birthday, Mom's birthday, their anniversary. Nothing. Then I tried the date they bought the house. Click. The lid popped open. Inside there wasn't gold, there wasn't a stash of cash. There was just a single, thick leather notebook and a stack of letters held together by a rubber band that was so old it had calcified and snapped as soon as I touched it. I opened the notebook first. It was Dad's handwriting, but it wasn't normal. My dad was a calm guy, steady. His handwriting was usually neat block letters. This was scrawled, frantic, different pens, different pressures. The first entry was dated 20 years ago, the year I started college. It read, "I don't know how to tell her. I can't tell her. If she knows, it'll kill her. I have to fix this myself." My stomach dropped. I mean, literally dropped. I sat there reading, and the cold of the garage just disappeared. I was sweating. I kept reading, page after page, and slowly, the picture of the man I thought I knew, it just dissolved. You have to understand. My dad was the provider. He was the rock. He ran a small consultancy firm. We weren't rich, but we were comfortable. Vacations to the lake every summer. New cars every 5 years. He paid for my college in full. No loans. I remember him handing me the check for my final semester, smiling, patting me on the back, saying, "Start your life debt-free, son. It's the best gift I can give you." I'm reading this diary and I realize none of that money was ours. None of it. The consultancy firm, it had gone under in the late 90s. He never told us. He kept going to work every day. He rented a small office space just to keep up appearances and to pay for our life, to pay for the groceries, the mortgage, my tuition. He was borrowing. And I don't mean bank loans. I mean bad loans. He was moving money around in a way that, as an accountant, made me want to vomit. He was stealing from clients before the business fully collapsed. Then he was borrowing from private lenders, loan sharks, essentially, to pay back the clients so he wouldn't get caught. Then he was taking out credit cards in my mom's name, maxing them out, and hiding the statements. He had a second mortgage on the house that Mom didn't know about. He forged her signature. He stole my mother's heirloom and let her believe she was careless enough to lose it just to buy me a Honda Civic. I felt sick, physically sick. I had to put the book down and breathe. I looked around the garage at all this junk and suddenly it made sense. The hoarding, the refusal to throw anything away. He was terrified of letting anyone see the cracks. If he kept the garage full, no one would come in here. No one would find the papers. But it gets worse. I picked up the stack of letters. They weren't letters he wrote. They were letters sent to him. Notices, legal threats. But the worst ones were from a woman. Let's call her Sarah. I didn't recognize the name at first, but then I read the content. "I know you're married, David. I don't want to ruin your life, but he needs braces. He needs clothes. Please, just send what you can. I have a brother. I have a half-brother. I'm 32. Based on the dates, this kid, Sarah's kid, is 25. My dad had an affair, a long one, and he had a whole other child. And while he was drowning in debt trying to keep up the perfect image for me and Mom, he was completely ignoring this other kid, or sending scraps when he could. There was a letter from the kid himself. It was dated 3 years ago. It was short, angry. "I don't want your money. I don't want to know you. Mom cries over you, but I know what you are. You're a coward. Just stay away." I put the papers back in the box. I locked it. I sat there in the dark for I don't know how long, maybe an hour. And then the door to the house opened. It was Mom. She poked her head into the garage. She looked so small. She was wearing one of Dad's old fleece jackets because she's always cold now. She smiled at me, a sad, tired smile. "Alex, honey, Are you okay out here? Do you want some hot chocolate? I looked at her. This woman who loved him with every fiber of her being, who thought he was the most honest, hard-working man on earth, who grieves for him every single day. She has no idea she's bankrupt. She has no idea the house she's standing in is likely going to be foreclosed on in 6 months because the balloon payment on the hidden mortgage is due. She has no idea her husband had a second family he abandoned. I looked at her and I said, "Yeah, Mom, I'm fine. Just going through old memories." She nodded, wiped a tear from her eye, and said, "He was a good man, Alex. He left us too soon." "Yeah," I said, "he was." So, here is where I am now. I went into forensic mode. I used my accounting skills. I dug into everything quietly. It's bad. It is catastrophic. The debt is immense. If I tell Mom, she loses everything. Not just the house, but the memory of him. It will destroy her. I mean that. She's fragile. She has a heart condition. The stress of the bankruptcy alone might kill her, but the heartbreak, the betrayal, that would finish the job. But if I don't tell her, I have to fix it. I have savings. I have my retirement fund. I have a small inheritance from my grandmother on Mom's side that I never touched. If I liquidate everything, literally everything I have, and if I sell my condo in the city and move back in with her, I can pay off the urgent debts. I can restructure the mortgage. I can make it look like just normal expenses. I can save the house. I can save her image of him. But I will be broke. I'm 32, and I will be back at 0. No, less than 0. I'll be living in my childhood bedroom, taking care of a house I technically paid for twice. And I have to decide what to do about the brother. I drove by his house yesterday. It's in the next town over, a rundown apartment complex. I saw him walking out to a beat-up truck. He looks just like Dad. It was like seeing a ghost. He looked hard, like life hasn't been kind to him. If I reach out, I blow the secret. If I give him money, I have to explain where it came from. So I'm sitting here writing this while my mom is asleep in the other room. The safe is in the trunk of my car. I'm going to drive to the river tomorrow and throw the notebook in. I've decided. I'm going to absorb the debt. I'm going to sell my place. I'm going to tell Mom that I just decided I wanted to be closer to home, that city life was burning me out. I'm going to lie to her every day for the rest of her life. I'm going to let her die thinking she was married to a saint, and I'm going to carry the hatred for my father alone. I look at his picture on the mantle, him smiling, holding a fish he caught, looking so happy, and I want to scream. I want to smash the glass. I hate him. I hate him so much it burns my throat. I hate him for the lies. I hate him for the brother I can't know. I hate him for making me an accomplice. But mostly, I hate him because even after all this, I still can't bring myself to break my mother's heart. He knew that. He knew I was the responsible one. He knew I would clean up the mess. That's why he left the notebook. He didn't burn it. He left it. He knew I'd find it. He counted on me saving her. He's still manipulating me from the grave. So, yeah. That's my confession. I'm a good son. I'm a loyal son. And because of that, I've lost my father twice. Once to death and once to the truth. And I've lost my future too. But tomorrow morning, I'll make coffee. I'll sit with Mom at the kitchen table, and when she starts telling a story about how wonderful Dad was, I'll smile, and I'll nod, and I'll say, "I know, Mom, I know." "Wow, Yeah, just take a second with that. It's the sacrifice, isn't it? That's what gets me. It's not just the money. Money comes and goes. You can make more money. But Alex is sacrificing his truth. He's sacrificing his right to grieve properly. Imagine walking around that house every day, seeing the pictures on the wall and seeing a monster, but having to pretend you see a hero because the person you love most in the world, his mom, needs that hero to exist. And the part about the dad knowing that he counted on me saving her, that is chilling. It adds this whole layer of almost weaponized incompetence to the dad. Like he knew he was drowning, so he just set it up so his son would have to be the lifeguard and the brother. That's the loose end that would keep me up at night. Knowing there is someone out there who shares your blood, who looks like your dad, who struggled while you thrived on stolen money. That guilt must be eating Alex alive, even though it's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. But guilt doesn't care about logic. I was reading the comments on the original thread before it got deleted, actually, which makes me think this is very, very real. And people were divided. Some people were saying, you have to tell her, she deserves the truth. And others were saying, no, let her have her peace. It makes you wonder, right? What is the value of truth? Is truth always good? Or is it sometimes better to live in a beautiful lie than a jagged reality? If I were Alex, man, I don't know. I'd like to think I'd be strong enough to do what he's doing, to take that bullet for my mom. But the resentment? I don't know where you put that anger. It has to go somewhere. If Alex is out there, somehow listening to this, I hope you find a way to let that anger out, man. Maybe not to your mom, but you gotta scream somewhere. You can't just hold that safe inside you forever. Actually, you know what? I was gonna wrap it up there, but the rain is really coming down now, and I'm honestly not ready to go to sleep yet. That last story kind of woke me up. It got my brain buzzing. And there is one more story I have saved here. I wasn't sure if I was going to read this one tonight because, to be honest, it's a little darker. Not in a horror movie way, but in a psychological way. It's about guilt. It's about the kind of mistake you make when you're young and stupid, and how it ripples out and destroys things you never meant to touch. So, if you're still with me, if you're still awake, top off your drink. Fix your pillow. Let's do one more. This one is titled, well, it doesn't really have a title, but if I had to name it, I'd call it The Arsonist. Here we go. The person who wrote this, let's call him Mark. He starts by saying, I am a lie. My whole life, everything I have, my career, my wife, my 2 beautiful daughters, the golden retriever sleeping on the rug, it's all built on a foundation of ash. I am 40 years old, I am a respected high school history teacher, and I am a criminal who got away with it. It happened in 2001. I was 17. I grew up in a town that was dying. You know the kind. Rust Belt, gray skies, nothing to do but drive around in circles and get into trouble. I was a good kid, technically. Good grades, on the track team heading to a state university in the fall. But I hung out with a group that liked to push boundaries. Not bad kids, just bored. There was an old, abandoned textile mill on the edge of town. It was our spot. We'd go there to drink warm beer, smoke terrible weed, and just exist away from our parents. One night in late October, it was just me and my buddy, Chris. We were bored. We were stupid. We found some old aerosol cans in the back of a maintenance closet. We started making makeshift flamethrowers. You know, light the lighter, spray the can, watch the fireball. It was fun. Until it wasn't. I sprayed a burst of fire at a pile of what looked like damp rags, but they weren't damp with water. They were soaked in old industrial oil or solvent. The whoosh sound was deafening. The fire didn't just catch, it exploded. It crawled up the wall in seconds. I panicked. I mean, pure reptilian brain panic. I didn't try to stomp it out. I didn't look for an extinguisher. I just yelled at Chris, "Run!" And we ran. We sprinted out of that mill, through the woods, scratched up by branches, lungs burning, until we got to my car. We drove 3 towns over before we even spoke. By the time we got back, the sky over our town was orange. The mill was an inferno. The fire department from 3 different counties was there. It was massive. And here is where the sin begins. The next day, the rumors started. The police were looking for arson. They found footprints. They found the aerosol cans. But they also found a backpack. It wasn't mine. It wasn't Chris's. It belonged to a guy named Elias. Elias was the town ghost. He was 18, a dropout, homeless, living rough. He had a history of petty vandalism. He was the guy people crossed the street to avoid. He actually did sleep in the mill sometimes. When the police found his backpack near the origin of the fire, the narrative wrote itself. The troubled dropout, the pyromaniac. They picked him up 2 days later. I remember sitting at the dinner table when my dad said, "They got the guy who torched the mill. That Elias kid. Thank God no one was hurt." I froze. I was holding a fork full of peas and I couldn't move my arm. I looked at my dad, waiting for him to see it on my face, waiting for him to smell the smoke that I felt was permanently etched into my skin. But he just kept eating. I went to my room and called Chris. "We have to say something," I whispered. Chris was crying. No way. Mark, if we say something, our lives are over. No college, no scholarships, we go to jail. Elias is already screwed, man. He's got nothing to lose. We have everything. It was the most selfish, evil logic I have ever heard, and I agreed with it. We stayed silent. Elias had a public defender who was overworked and didn't care. The evidence was circumstantial, but Elias had no alibi. He claimed he lost his backpack days ago. He claimed he was sleeping under the bridge that night. But who believes the homeless kid with a record? He took a plea deal to avoid a longer sentence. He got 5 years for arson and reckless endangerment. 5 years. I went to college. I rushed a fraternity. I met my wife, Sarah, in a coffee shop during my junior year. I graduated with honors. I became a teacher. I teach kids about history. I teach them about integrity. Every time I look in the mirror, I expect to see a monster. But I just see a regular guy with a receding hairline. But the story doesn't end there. Last week, I was at the gas station. It's been 23 years. I'm filling up my SUV, thinking about grading papers. A beat-up landscaping truck pulls up to the pump next to me. The guy who gets out is rough. Leathery skin, deep lines around his eyes, a limp in his left leg. He's wearing a neon yellow vest covered in grass stains. It was Elias. I knew him instantly. He looked older than 41, but it was him. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. I wanted to get in my car and speed away. I wanted to disappear, but the pump was still running. I was stuck. He looked over at me. He didn't smile. He just stared. And then he walked around the pump. He stood about 3 feet from me. I could smell the gasoline and the cut grass. "Mark," he said. His voice was gravel. I couldn't breathe. "Hey, do I know you?" The lie came out so automatically. It was muscle memory. He laughed. It wasn't a nice laugh. "Yeah, you know me. We went to high school. I'm Elias." "Oh," I said, feigning recognition. "Right, Elias. Wow, how are you?" He looked at my car. He looked at my wedding ring. He looked at the baby seat in the back. "I'm getting by," he said. "Did 18 months in juvie, then 4 years in state. Hard to get a job with a felony arson rap, but I mow lawns now." I felt like I was going to vomit. I reached for my wallet. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Hey, let me..." He put his hand up. "I don't want your money." He stepped closer. He lowered his voice. "I know it was you." The world stopped. The noise of the traffic, the wind, everything just cut out. "What?" I whispered. "I was there," Elias said. "I was sleeping on the second floor. I saw you and Chris with the cans. I saw you run. I saw you leave." I stared at him. Why didn't you tell them?" He shrugged, a heavy, tired shrug. "I did tell them. I told the cops. I told my lawyer. I said it was the track stars, the Golden Boys." He smirked. "They laughed at me, Mark. They said I was lying to save my own skin. They said boys like you don't burn down buildings. Boys like me do." He leaned in, his eyes drilling into mine. "So I went to prison for you. I sat in a cell for 5 years for you. And now I mow lawns for $10 an hour and you drive a Lexus." I was shaking. "Elias, Save it," he said. He spat on the ground near my shoe. "I don't want your apology. I just wanted you to know that I know, and I wanted to see if you looked happy." He looked me up and down one last time. "You look terrified," he said. "Good." He got back in his truck and drove away. I stood there at the pump for 20 minutes after he left. I went home. I hugged my wife so hard she asked me what was wrong. I checked the locks on the doors 3 times. I can't sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see him in that cell. I see the years stolen from him, the life he could have had. Maybe he wouldn't have been a doctor, but he wouldn't be a felon. He wouldn't have that limp. God knows what happened to him inside to give him that limp. I owe him everything. My entire existence is a theft. I stole his freedom to buy my comfort. I've been thinking about confessing, turning myself in, but the statute of limitations is up. Legally, I can't be charged. And even if I could, would I? Would I destroy my daughter's lives? Would I shame my wife? Would I lose my job, my pension, my house? No, I know I won't. I'm a coward. I was a coward at 17 and I'm a coward at 40, so I'm going to hire him. I found his landscaping company. It's just him. I'm going to send an anonymous cashier's check, a grant for small businesses, $10,000, maybe more. I'll keep doing it. It's not enough. It's blood money. It's hush money paid to a ghost who already knows the secret. But it's all I can do. I am a history teacher. I tell my students that history is written by the victors. I never tell them that sometimes the victors are just the ones who ran away the fastest. Okay, that hits different than the first one. The first story was about a guy inheriting a mess he didn't make. This guy, Mark, he made the mess. He lit the match. And the part that kills me is the system. Elias did tell the truth. He told them it was the Golden Boys. And nobody believed him because of how he looked and who his parents weren't. That is the most heartbreakingly realistic part of this whole thing. And that interaction at the gas station, you look terrified. Good. Chills. Literally Look. She holds up her arm to the camera. Goosebumps. I don't know how you live with that. I mean, Mark says he's paying him anonymously now, but is that for Elias? Or is that just Mark trying to buy his own sleep back? It makes you wonder how many people in positions of power, people we look up to, teachers, politicians, bosses, are sitting on a secret like this. How many good lives are built on someone else's tragedy? I feel so bad for Elias. I hope he takes that anonymous money and, I don't know, goes on a vacation, buys a new truck, something. What would you guys do? Be honest. If you were 17, terrified, and you knew speaking up would ruin your entire future, would you have stepped forward? Or would you have let the town bad boy take the fall? It's easy to say we'd be heroes, but fear is a powerful drug. All right, guys, I think that's it for me tonight. My brain is officially full. Thank you for sticking around for the double feature. I know these were long, but I feel like they needed to be told. And hey, real quick before I go, if you did enjoy this, or if it just gave you something to listen to while you folded laundry or stared out the window, please consider hitting that subscribe button and dropping a like. I don't talk about this much, but I actually quit my day job a few months ago to try and do this full time. It was, honestly, a terrifying decision. I love the idea of telling stories, but walking away from a steady paycheck is no joke. That being said, rent is very real, and this is my life now. So every sub, every like, every comment, it genuinely helps me keep the lights on and keeps me from having to crawl back to a cubicle. So if you do that, thank you. Seriously. It helps me out a lot more than you know. I'm gonna go stare at the ceiling for a while and try not to think about my own past mistakes. Sleep well, guys. Don't play with matches. And call your mom. Good night. I love you. Bye.